Hi guys, this is Louis Althusser once again with you and welcome to my channel Pegasus. So we started studying ideology, capitalist ideology or Marxist notion of ideology. In my previous video, very shortly I have discussed what was Marxist philosophy on and thought and idea on ideology, what Engels thought about ideology. If you have not gone through that lecture, I am recommending you to go to that video, because without understanding that lecture, you cannot have the clear-cut idea of ideology. Because today, we are going to enter into the theoretical framework of ideology. Actually, Karl Marx had given a kind of philosophy or his belief and idea on ideology, which has given a theoretical framework by a French structuralist Marxist, and his name is Louis Althusser. Yes, today this video is on Louis Althusser and his theory on ideology. We ended our previous discussion discussing Marx's notion of ideology, how ideology is able to hide the authentic reality, the actual reality. This question is very minutely and structurally answered by Louis Althusser. Louis Althusser is a French structuralist Marxist. Sometimes many critics think that he is a post-structuralist critic as well. This is the most tricky and interesting zone studying Althusser, because while Marxism as a theory is a historical and social philosophy, on the other hand, structuralism is totally opposite. It is absolutely ahistorical and absolutely apolitical, asocial theory. It is based on language. But Althusser adds the two. He is reading Karl Marx from linguistical point of view, from structural point of view. And this tricky zone of the mixture, of the blend between Marxism and structuralism is clearly answered by Louis Althusser, while he is differentiating ideologies and ideology. This is theorized by Althusser in one of his famous essays. The name of the essay is Ideology and Ideological State Apparatuses. This essay was published in 1970 in his collection of essays, Lenin and his Philosophy, and other works. Louis Althusser is also called a neo-Marxist. He is a neo-Marxist because he is adding so many things in Marx's philosophy. He is adding his own theories on the philosophy of Karl Marx. That's why, for the first time, Marxism as a philosophy has got a theoretical framework in the hands of Louis Althusser. In these essays, he is asking so many questions. For example, first question is why the citizens are becoming obedient. Why citizens are not revolting against the exploitation. Why and how the ideologies are working. But among all these, we have to study two theses which are given by Althusser in this essay. Althusser's first premise is that ideology is a representation of imaginary relationship of individuals to their real conditions of existence. Look at the sentence where he is talking about a kind of relationship between the individual and his real condition of existence. And the relationship between the individual and his real condition of existence is not real but imaginary. Let me tell you one thing here. As a structuralist Marxist, as a post-structuralist Marxist as well, Althusser was highly dependent on the psychoanalyst theorists like Freud and Lacan. When we are reading this term, imaginary relationship, in our mind, the name of Lacan is coming automatically because Lacan has given the phrase imaginary state in his psychoanalytic theory. Imaginary state talks about that a state which is not real but one time removed from the reality. That's why that state is called imaginary state, meaning which is not real, which is removed from the reality. So here Althusser has taken this coinage from Lacan and talks about the relationship between the individual and his real existence is imaginary, meaning it is not real. It is one time removed from the actual reality. So what is the actual reality of me, of you, is distorted. It is hidden. It is concealed by the use of ideology. This is the effect of ideology. And this is what is stated, already stated by Karl Marx in a simple way, which has been extended in a linguistic manner by Althusser in his first thesis. In the second thesis, when Althusser states that ideology has a material existence, as a new Marxist, he is slightly modifying Karl Marx. Because Marx thought that ideology is a set of belief, a set of ideas believing in which we live our lives, right? But Althusser thinks no, ideology is not a set of idea or a set of belief, but ideology has its own real existence. It has a material existence. That's why Althusser argues that ideology materially inhabit in some rituals, in some social actions, social behaviors, behavioral patterns. That's why when Marx once stated that ideology has no history, Althusser checked it. Althusser checked it by adding 3 words. He stated, ideology has no history of its own, meaning ideology has history. If we find ideologies in history, we can find it. It has its real existence, material existence in history. For example, if we look at 18th century Bengal history, we can find the dominant ideology of patriarchy were there. We can find Satidaha Protha, Ballo Vivaho in 18th century Bengal society, Bengal history. So we can say ideology has history, but ideology has no history of its own. While talking about the material existence of ideology, Althusser is not only talking about the rituals and social behavior, social actions, where we can find ideologies, the material existence of ideology. Not at all. There is another place where ideology actually inhabits, that is Apparatuses. And while discussing Apparatuses, Althusser is theorizing his notion of state, means Rashtra. I am requesting you to conceptualize state in your mind as a nation state. It will be easier for you to understand what is state. To Althusser, state is nothing without 2 things. One is state power, another one is state apparatuses. Now I am explaining this graph. State is nothing without state power. Who is possessing this state power? Actually mastering the state. In a capitalist regime, it is no doubt that the capitalists are possessing the state power. That's why they are the rulers. They are the actual master class. And in order to dominate the working class, the proletariat, in order to make the obedient citizens, they will use some apparatuses, which are called state apparatuses. So state apparatuses are nothing but a kind of state control. State is controlling the working class, the common mass, by using 2 types of state apparatuses. One is RSA, repressive state apparatus, and ISAs, ideological state apparatuses. What is RSA and what is ISS? Althusser argues state is a repressive mechanism and state power is apparently maintained by some repressive structures, which are the institutions like government, law courts, prisons, police and armed forces like military and army as well. So these all are the factors, these all are the agencies which are working externally through violence in a public form. It is a kind of formal form of the state, it is a kind of public form of the state. It is an external form of the state power. Through this, the state, meaning those who are possessing the state power, is controlling the common mass, is controlling the disobedient citizens. Beside this repressive state apparatus, because this is singular, ISAs are plural. Repressive state apparatus is singular because all these sectors, government, court, prison, police, military, they all are working in a unified structure, that is repression, and in a public sphere they are working through violence. But ideologies or ideological structures in a very subtle way is maintaining the state power as well, which Althusser calls is the main place where ideology inhabits. This is the original game in Althusser's theory of ideology. He thinks that there are some institutions like family, like the educational sectors like school and colleges, the mass media, the religious sectors, the social organizations and the training in military or armed forces. In all these institutions, ideologies are germinated. These institutions are responsible for generating the ideologies within us. How? From our very childhood, in our family, we are taught to be obedient. And this very idea, this very thought of to be obedient, to maintain the status quo is continued when we entered into the educational sectors like schools and colleges. Primarily in schools and colleges, we are taught first to be obedient, to follow some decorum, some rules, to follow the status quo. In this way, our psyche is, in the very root time, at the very early stage of our life, our psyche is captivated, and these all are put in our unconscious level. One interesting part is that when in 5 years or in 10 years, a government is replaced by another government. And when the government is sitting in the throne, the primary task of the government is to change the syllabus. They will change the curriculum, the entire curriculum, so that the syllabus and the curriculum will put in the mind of the little learners that these governments, what they are doing is right, they are doing for us. And they will craft the syllabus and the curriculum in their own ways. So in this way, the educational sectors are germinating or generating the ideologies. Same things are taught in the religious sectors as well. To be obedient to someone who is much more powerful than you, to follow the rules, to follow the decorums. And this continues even particularly in the mass media, which is the most powerful media of creating the ideology, to distort the actual reality. We all know it about, we are very much aware of the actions of the mass media, the media outlets. They are used by the state, meaning in a capitalist regime, the capitalists who are using the mass media in order to distort the actual reality, the reality of the exploitation of the common mass, the reality of the exploitation of the working class people, by using the media outlets. Not only that, but also even in some social organizations like social clubs, etc., we have to follow the status quo. This is also a part of creating ideology. In the training of the military or armed forces, first what is taught them is discipline. You have to follow some coded decorum, some coded rules, and you have to follow the orders of your higher authorities. Actually, unconsciously, we are becoming obedient citizens. The way we are formed, the obedient citizens, as obedient citizens, when we are exploited, we will not feel that exploitation. We will feel that the reality which is shown to us, which we are seeing, is the actual reality. But originally, that is imposed on us. We have no freedom of choice. As he is arguing this in this essay, Ideology and Ideological State Apparatuses, that in a capitalist regime, what is mostly needed is skillful laborers. Now the point is how to make the skillful laborers. Althusser argues that in schools and in colleges, meaning in the educational sectors, what the children are learning? They are learning a number of techniques. They are learning a number of elements which are directly useful in the jobs of production. In this way, the educational sectors like schools and colleges, the transformation is going on. The transformation of the unskilled laborers to skilled laborers. Because skilled laborers are very much important in the jobs of production in the capitalist regime. In the capitalist regime, in schools and colleges, they are also taught some rules of good behavior. They are also taught the submissiveness. They are taught to be obedient to the higher authorities. They are taught to believe in the social systems, to believe in some rules and decorums, to believe in the status quo. And in this way, they are formed as a skillful laborer, not only technically, but also mentally. Technically and mentally, they are crafted by using such kind of ideologies. And in a way, this is continuing to make them the obedient and skillful laborers, workers. This action continues not only in the schools and colleges, in a way, slightly in the family as well, in the religious sectors as well, and in some social organizations as well. In this way, ideology works to hide the actual reality, the reality of the exploitation of the working class, the proletariat, by the capitalist in the capitalist regime. What is clear? Wherever we go, whatever we do, whatever we engage in is pervaded by ideology. Althusser concludes his theory by stating that while we are believing that we are acting according to our free will, originally or actually in reality, we are acted by the system. Meaning we have become the subject to the great subject. We have become the small s to the big S. Here big S is the state power, who is possessing the state power, the ruler. And we have become the smallest, meaning the subject, who are subservient, meaning we are interpellated by the big S. Here comes Althusser's theory of interpellation. What is that? That I will discuss in my next video. Thank you. Stay tuned and keep learning.